Hey everybody, it's January 10th. I can't believe it's January 10th already. I'm getting ready for this show that's in mid-February in Baltimore. And yeah, man, it's really flying. Time is flying. So lots to do and not a lot of time. I'm drinking my coffee today out of this little cup that I made when I was in China. So clay from Lanzhou and all of the glazes also. Really love this little cup and the comfort. It's super comfortable to hold. I think I've said this before, but I really like drinking coffee out of small cups a little bit more than I like drinking them out of big cups because the coffee stays warm by the time you drink it, and it's an excuse to have more breaks. So um, you can kind of see I'm getting ready for the show. I'm doing some trimming today. I've got a lot to do today, so this may not be super long. But as I've mentioned now at least twice, I am very much focused on getting ready for a show. And that brings up a kind of headspace that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit, which is one in which when I'm getting ready for shows, I'm very tempted. I'm a very strategic thinker, and I'm oftentimes thinking about um, what to make, how much to make, what I think is going to sell, um, what the expectations are for clients or potential clients, how to please them, how to make pieces that people are going to want to buy, how to glaze them in ways that people are going to want to buy them, all of that sort of stuff, and business decisions, and all of that stuff is really important. I don't want to like overshoot that, but I've also had the experience in the past when I was a young potter where I was really focusing on, I did a show and I had a few pots that had a fish design on them. I was doing some fishing at the time, and so I was in the Carolinas and I was drawing trout on pieces. And I did a show and I had just a few of those and they sold out like right away. It was super exciting. And they were by far the most successful thing at the sale. Um, I then got into a show in almost the same place, the same region, just about an hour down the road from the place where I had that really successful sale. And it was a pretty prestigious show, a bigger end show. And I was so excited because I just knew from the previous experience even that if I made a bunch of those pots with the trout on them, I was going to sell out and I was going to make tons of money and it was going to be, the launch of a career. So I made a whole bunch of pots with trout on them. And the problem was my motivation was really about making things to sell versus making things that I was interested in. And so I got all the pots and I got them down there and I was really excited and I sold very few pots. It was really disappointing and I really had to think a lot about what had happened and why it was different. And ultimately, I kind of was able to see those pots and realize I had put myself into a place where I was making to please what I thought the public was going to be, and I kind of stopped making the things that I was interested in. So, excuse me. so, so yeah. Anyway, I'm thinking about that a lot. I'm thinking about that a lot in this last couple of weeks as I'm getting ready for this show. I do want to have some sense of what I think is going to sell, but if I turn totally towards that and I don't take any joy in the work that I'm making, I know that that's a trap. That's going to be a problem. I'm not going to be invested in the pots properly, and then nothing's going to sell. So this is a very tenuous time for me as I get closer and closer to a show where part of me wants to push towards things that I feel like are going to be commercially successful, but also I need to constantly remind myself of this story and to step back and make sure that what I'm making is things that I am really enjoying making, and maybe that means I make less, and maybe that means I have a lot of pots that I make that I decide at the end I don't like, and that's okay. I take less pots. I try experiments of things and they don't work out. That's okay too. So I'm sort of in the mode now where I'm trying to balance some of my need to make up the money that I'm spending to do the show with my with what I know is true, which is that I have to love the pots myself. If I'm not loving the pots, then nobody's going to love the pots. So yeah, it's tricky. So anyway, my encouragement to you, if you're a maker, is that you search for that place of balance. There's certainly, I think it's good to be aware of what people like about your work and to do the research and do all that. But be careful not to completely sort of sell out to that. That you continue to make things that are that feed your soul, and then that should go into feeding other people's soul. So I think at times I've heard this another way, which is that I've oftentimes hear students or even other makers saying like they want to make something that even if they're not thinking about money, but they say I want to make things that have a universal appeal, universally going to mean a lot to a lot of people. And so what they end up doing is they spend a lot of time making work that has a message, but the message is not fully internalized. They're actually sort of broadcasting out instead of coming in, and in essence, that's the same potential problem. In my experience, I have found that the more I go in, the more universal the work becomes, which sounds like really strange, but I think it's true in that really, if you focus more on the things that you're trying to work out in yourself and in your life and your experience, if you will stick to that, even if you're even risking the idea that what you do is so personal that nobody else is going to get it, I think that it's probably going to be the case that the more truthful your work is going to become, more truthful and honest and authentic, and that is actually going to be the thing that connects you. When you try to be universal, you tend to water down your thoughts to a place, or your imagery, to a place where people get it, but it's not interesting. So stay interesting, stay personal, constantly check that notion of trying to please others with trying to do something that's personal. So yeah, I think that's probably plenty for today. So I've got to get back to work. I got a little trimming to do, and then I've got a lot of other different things to do, so I got to get out of the studio. Cheers, happy making, see you later.